Jill Andrew is the coalition coordinator for Great Plains Food Bank. For 9 years, she has been working to advance human services initiatives through grassroots stamp food communication. Passionate about equitable access to nutritious food, her work focuses on empowering communities to develop locally driven solutions, strengthen partnerships, and create lasting change in the fight to end hunger. And these gals will tell you about their work, about their workplace, and answer questions if you will. Chelsea, can you start us off, please? Maybe you would come up here.
Okay. Hello. Thank you so much for asking me to come today. So at West Fargo Eats, our mission is to end hunger in our community and bring empowerment, dignity, and respect to our neighbors, experiencing food insecurity through the support of our dedicated partners and volunteers. Um, this work is about more than food. It's about making sure that people feel seen, respected, and comfortable asking for help. Why this matters is food insecurity is a lot more common than you may realize. Anyone can need help at any point, and we're really trying to reduce the stigma that something come along with it. That's very crucial, that people don't feel the need to explain why they're coming to see us. Just come and see us. And so we're trying to really reduce that. And so one of the biggest things that I hope you take away today is that it's okay to need the help and support. Or if you see somebody who needs it, let them know, hey, just it's okay to need the help and support. Just real briefly, our history, we started May of 2020 we just had a pop-up in our parking lot, and Great Plains Food Bank came on out with one of their trucks, and we distributed 55,000 pounds of food that day to 3,700 people. And we thought, there might be a need for this in our area. And so it just kind of, one of the main moments that stuck is so we really did it monthly. So it was like May of 2020, June, and so on. We actually did it through the winter months when we initially started, and that was very interesting. It was fun. But we don't do that anymore, though. So we usually do our pop-ups May through October. And so one of the big moments that stood out there was in May of 2021, we served 600 people in 90 minutes. Like it went that fast. In October of 2021, we became a permanent location. And it launched West Fargo Eats as a food share alliance with Gate City Bank, Lutheran Church of the Cross, Great Plains Food Bank, and the YWCA. Thanks to some good funding from Gate City Bank, we were able to remodel a garage that is sort of attached to the south side of Lutheran Church of the Cross. And that's where we shifted from response mode to sustainability. That's kind of where we're at right now. West Fargo Eats, don't let the name fool you. As proud as we are to be in West Fargo, it's mainly just to let people know where we are, not who we serve. We've served people as far as Grafton, Sisseton, Burgess Falls, Tower City, and everywhere in between. So some people that have come to Roger Maris lived in Grafton, and on their way home, they needed some food to bring home with them, and we happened to be there, and they came by, which was really a good feeling to do that. So our name is not necessarily who we serve, it's just where we are. In June of 2025, we were able to unveil our latest recruit in the fight of hunger, and that was our van. We, with the help of Gate City Bank, they sold it to us at a very good price, and then we got a grant for the Sencha, and then help from the Lutheran Church of the Cross, we got this delivery van. So that allows us to pick up more retail rescue and get more food to our pantry, and then even surplus we can share with our fellow agencies. So if we're having a week where we don't have a lot going on, but we ended up picking up a lot of retail rescue, we can share with other of our food, fellow agencies under the Great Plains umbrella. What we do is we do, like I mentioned, our monthly outside pop-ups, May through October, typically the third Thursday in the month. In the packet, I have our April calendar, so that's not going to be super helpful for you because the May one's not there yet. But May 14th is going to be our first outside one. And we do that monthly. We do a call-in distribution once a month. People call in. We go through a menu with them. And then they pick a time to come pick it up on that following Tuesday. It's done once a month, and we get a delivery from Great Plains on Tuesday, and we share what we get in the delivery equally among those picking up. So one of the things about West Fargo Eats is we do kind of have a reservation basis, and it's just simply because of our size, and so we make sure that we evenly share the items that we get. And then our favorite is in-person shopping. We do that twice a month, and that's an online reservation system. And did that today, and people sign up for a time to come and shop, and they get a 15-minute shopping trip in the pantry to pick out their own items and stuff. So again, keeping it, giving that power of choice to everyone. Looking ahead, we've been, my goal as director is to really get community outreach, because we are very limited just on our size. We're a remodeled garage, and then we overtook some space in the church. And it's wonderful, but we have this blessing of the Boy Scouts brought us some donations, and then we got some Build a Dome, we work with Great Plains, and so how do we get the food to the people? And with our limited space and some of our limited services, just because of volunteers, we can't operate every day. We just don't have that capacity. So we piloted a program with the West Fargo Public School, a couple other social workers, where we have totes, they're big totes, and we're doing a tote exchange where we have a total of 6 of them now. We fill up 3 of them, I deliver it monthly the social workers are doing a monthly meeting, and I give them the 3 full totes, and I take the empty ones from them, and we exchange them every month. Or that's the goal. We did it once. I'm talking like we've done it forever. So we did it like last week was our first one, and it was pretty exciting. The goal there is to hopefully make it a monthly thing, and maybe possibly even delve into summer school time, or even in other schools, and kind of infiltrate. That's our way where we can, community connection is the way where we're going to make the biggest impact with how small our space is. So we can do that. You do have some numbers there in 2025, just our impact from 2025. So we had 125,000 pounds of food to almost 13,000 people in 2025, and there's a little breakdown attached to it too if you're interested in looking at. Let's see here. Another thing that I'm trying to do is I would like to meet with some of our first responders and community leaders on, I know that when police officers and firemen go to certain calls, they're not always fire related, or a lot of them are falls. And if we would be able to pack 50 or 60 non-perishable boxes, and if it is feasible for them to house it somewhere, because a lot of those first responders will go out and buy groceries for people. And it would be super cool if West Fargo Eats could provide something for them to say, here, you can have this tonight, and take that, burden is a hard word because I know they love what they do, but take that off of the first responders, and then they can also have that information that they know where to come for food anyway, and kind of help with that. So that's another goal of mine. I haven't really reached out, but that's kind of futuristic. And so in closing, I just hope what you take away is help is available. It's okay to use it. This work takes a community, and there is hope out there. And I just have one story to share. Just one. It's kind of a feel-good. It's kind of a sad feel-good kind of story, but I like to share it. There was one day a young gentleman stopped into the pantry just on a whim, and we're not open every day. But because I'm the only staff person, I am kind of there more regular than they had before, and I happened to be there living in his car, and just happened to serendipitously stop by. He's like, I just need some stuff, but I'm in the car. Can you help me? And I said, absolutely. So he came in, and I got him some stuff. We even had him have some handheld can openers, sent him on his way. Got him scheduled to come the next month for in-person shopping. And just a really nice young man, just kind of having to go through a time. And so he came for the next month, and it was frigid. I think it was January last year, and it was just frigid. And he came in, and while he was doing his shopping, a neighbor that had already shopped came back in, and she was really upset. Her car wouldn't start. And she said, I should have been my battery sooner. I have a new battery. It's in my car. I don't know how to put it in. I can't afford to have anybody put it in. And the young man just said, I can put it in for you. So this kid who was going through this really awful time got her battery in her car, like freezing out there. We're like watching from the window, you know, like chickens. But got her car running for her, got the battery in it, and it's just one of the best stories ever because two people facing these big challenges came together and created just this really magnificent moment. And yeah, just lifting each other up. And had he not stopped in that one day and been able to come in that following month, she would have been helped. I mean, it just so stuff like that. Those are just really good stories. So, any questions? I talked really fast.
I got one question.
Sure.
When it's, 50,000 members served, I mean, those are individual 13,000 different people, but 13,000 people came through.
Right.
Okay.
So when it says visits, I think it says visits on there. So we used to call it households, but we do get return households. So that didn't seem quite right either because if you say, oh, we serve 320 some households, that kind of creates the illusion you serve 323 new households every day. So we do get return people. So now we call it visits. So those 13,000 people they could be duplicate people, but they were served at different times. Yeah. So that's a great question. Yes.
I wonder if you have a way to identify are there communities that serve the county of how is West Fargo, for example, there isn't Fargo or someone else. Do you see any more distinctions in those communities?
I don't know if not to throw her under the bus, and Jill might have some information about that. But as far as like the demographics, I'm seeing more so than where they're from. Seeing a lot of grandparents with their grandchildren. And so we actually, something I glossed over, we do every week, we work with a senior community, and so we have 3 different buildings that we send menus to monthly, and their residents will fill out the menus, send them back to us, and we fill boxes every Tuesday, and their management company will come pick them up, and we do that on a rotating basis. So that's another way than in the schools. So, but that is one of the demographics that I'm seeing a lot of is grandparents who are responsible for their grandkids, especially in the summer when the kids aren't in school, and then it really kind of kicks up. And then a lot of adults that are they're not related, but they're all living. They're trying to get by, and so they're all living together. Groups of people. But yeah, a lot of the grandparent and grandchild situation going on. Anything else? So thank you so much.
I'm ready. So, like Chelsea said, thank you for having us. These are my favorite size groups because it can be more of a conversation rather than me just talking at you. But my name is Jill Andrew, and I'm the coalition coordinator for the Great Plains Food Bank. So I oversee the Cats Play Hunger Coalition, as well as creating the Hunger Free North Dakota, which is a statewide coalition of the partners doing this work. So I thought I'd start off with a little bit of coalition stuff and then jump into some food bank stuff, if that's okay with you guys. So I am entering my 10th year of coalition work. I originally began on the Minnesota side, working with the Department of Human Services in youth substance use prevention. Did that for about 6 years in Clay County. I think something always kind of nagged at me doing that work. While that's important work, I know that kids don't just wake up with substance use issues. There are so many root causes that lead to those types of situations. And food security really spoke to me, and it became an opportunity with Great Plains Food Bank, who I've been really familiar and close with. And so, entering my 3rd year as a coalition coordinator with Great Plains. If you aren't familiar with the coalition, Great Plains has over 200 partners across North Dakota and Clay County, Minnesota, that are all working to feed neighbors directly. So raise your hand if you know the difference between a food pantry and a food bank. I knew you would. Yeah, I know. We know each other.
So there's a big misconception that a food bank is a pantry and that it's somewhere that neighbors can just go to access food and request services. The correlation I like to make is that pantries serve neighbors directly and we serve the pantries. So the food bank is responsible for purchasing bulk food, for recuperating bulk food that would otherwise go to waste. We work with local producers to purchase beef from North Dakota, cattlemen and things like that. So while we don't give food directly to people, we give it to the pantries and the meal sites. I think of Salvation Army and those types of groups. So we're their support, where they're directly supporting the neighbors. So Chelsea, Dana are both members of the coalition. Within the coalition work, I kind of like to call us a support group for one another because we meet monthly. And each month we try to bring a new topic or a new organization in that can speak to something food security or nutrition related. So last month was National Nutrition Month, and we were able to have somebody come in and speak to our new health and wellness programs through the Queen's Food Bank. Have you guys heard of the wellness pantries yet that are popping up around town? How many of you go to a doctor and they ask if you feel safe in your home? They ask if you have enough food to eat, all of those things. Well, we didn't like the fact that they asked those questions but didn't do anything about it. Like, you asked me if I was hungry and I said yes, but I didn't get any resources or any help while I was here. So Ashley Baker is in charge of those programs, and we now have them with Essentia, Sanford, Arcos, and they're working on up in Grand Forks, but they're literally pantries inside the clinic. So if somebody screens positive for food insecurity, they're offered resources that day. They will literally leave with grocery bags full of food, as well as other resources on how they can get some long-term support. And yeah.
So I happen to have an associate at the family hospital downtown.
Yeah.
Are they participating? Because somebody there mentioned that this person had wanted to
Yeah, I know that they are a partner of ours in sorts. We also have what's called a clinic food box program. So in family healthcare space, they don't have a lot of extra space to set up a full pantry. So what we do for those partners that can't kind of take on that, not to mention it takes manpower to pack the food up, to keep the shelves stocked, we can offer them a medical food box, and it's going to have healthy, nutritious food in it. The client's just not going to get to choose those foods. So I believe that family healthcare is in that range.
I'm not sure that she knows that, so I will.
Yeah, yeah, and if not, absolutely have them get a hold of us and we can work on it. I would say our wellness programming and our kitchen coalition are the programs we could expand infinitely if we had the funding to do it. It really does come down to funding, as you can imagine. Not a lot of clinics are outfitted with grocery shelving and freezers and refrigerators, so it does take some work to get there, but we've been really lucky to find funding from really great organizations. No, good question. So as far as Great Plains Food Bank goes, Chelsea did a great job kind of speaking to the West Fargo. While I don't have numbers specific to West Fargo, I can give you more of the bigger picture of what food insecurity looks like in North Dakota and in Clay County, Minnesota. If you're wondering why we have one county in Minnesota, it's because back in the day when the food bank was started, it was part of Lutheran Social Services. And Lutheran Social Services covered Clay County. Because of that relationship, we kept that when we formed our own 501c3. So we oversee Clay County, knowing that they are better served partners being across the river than if their food had to come from Grand Forks or the Twin Cities. So we continue to support Clay County. Last year, we served over 167,000 individuals through our partner network. That's non-duplicated. That's 167,000 individuals that receive services through our partner network. I I don't know if anybody's had the opportunity to come to Great Plains. We have a giant warehouse. It holds about 1,000,000 pounds of food, and we turn that over every month. We bring in 1,000,000 pounds, and we put out 1,000,000 pounds. If you haven't heard, we are hosting a campaign right now called the Harvesting Hope campaign. We are preparing to break ground on a new facility over by, I say by State Land, if anybody knows where that is. There is a piece of undeveloped land there that we are preparing to break ground on this spring. Our hope is to be in the new facility by the end of 2027. And so you'll probably hear some more about that from our philanthropy group. But it's going to severely, or I shouldn't say severely, that's a bad word, it's going to significantly increase our warehouse space. It's going to make our volunteer center like top of the line. We can even do clean foods that require allergen sensitivity. So we'll have special filter systems that allow us to work with some different products. And then we're also going to have some areas like this beautiful space where we can bring community together and not have to kind of be bop around Fargo Moorhead to meet those needs. Need is up 11% this year. Our stats just came out last month. 11% increase over last year, which I know if you're not in the work or you're not experiencing that, sometimes when we're not in the pandemic or a government shutdown, we think that some of those needs go away, but since the pandemic, we've continued to see an increase every single year in the people who are in need of food assistance. Right now, just kind of speaking to some of the things, the trends that we're seeing right now across North Dakota, significantly our New American populations are being are experiencing food insecurity at a much higher rate. Number one, with the changes to SNAP, many of them lost their SNAP benefits as well as their eligibility to work. And so we've kind of seen a disproportionate effect on the New American populations. Our second, what Chelsea said, we are seeing an increase steadily every year of grandparents who are raising grandchildren without a parent in the home. And then I would say also veterans have been affected by the changes in SNAP and new work requirements. Veterans under a certain age now have to work, I believe it's 20 hours a month in order to be eligible for SNAP. For some of them, that's not feasible, whether they're in a small community or they have a disability, whatever that looks like. So we've definitely been seeing some issues there. We also do a lot of work with tribal communities across the state of North Dakota. And within that, statistic-wise, tribal communities have a much higher rate of social service needs, whether that's mental health, food insecurity, transportation, those types of things. So those are kind of some of the trends that we're seeing right now as far as food insecurity goes. As I mentioned, we have over 200 partners across North Dakota, and I believe 90% of them are volunteer-led. Don't have a paid person on staff more than half time to be able to carry out that work. So we're incredibly grateful for folks that are able to give in that way. We've also been focusing a lot in the last year on senior or older adult programming. So working closely with Valley Senior Services, we also have some programming to help seniors who maybe are not mobile or able to leave their home. So we're working on a lot of that, and then Chelsea is actually on one of my committees for the Hunger Coalition, where we are exploring delivery options from pantries through a program called Project Dash that DoorDash runs. I'm sure Chelsea gets just as many phone calls as I do of people who are homebound, maybe don't have appropriate transportation, there isn't a neighbor or a family member that can help them or come and pick that food up. I live in Holly, Minnesota, and so I can only imagine how difficult it must be to try and meet your needs just within that specific community. But Project Dash has a great program where they offer extremely discounted rates to pantries and meal service sites to be able to make deliveries to people's home through their platform. So Chelsea and I are on a committee that are currently exploring that and what that looks like. And our next kind of benchmark is to host a training within Fargo Moorhead to let folks know that this is available. And then my wish list is to secure some funding so that we can help these pantries get on board with this program. There are fees associated with the delivery, but in the grand scheme of things, it's pretty small. And when you think about getting food to people where they need it. Let's see, what else do we have? So, talking coalition-wise, we have over 70 members on our email list and that attend meetings representing over 50 organizations across Cass and Clay County. That's everything from foundations to public health to spiritual organizations, law enforcement, all of those things. We come together once a month, the first Monday of the month at Fargo Cass Public Health. And like I said, we try to have something pertinent to food security each month, but I think every time we survey members, they say that their favorite part is just getting to be around other people that are doing the work. I know Chelsea's probably been at meetings where we have a member of Hornbachers that's on our advisory board, and she can come in and say, I got 10 pallets of bananas, and I don't know where to bring them. And by the end of the meeting, we know where they're going, and those bananas are going to get used. So I would say that's the number one thing that people find value in is that every meeting there's kind of an open floor and people can share needs that they have for their organization, funding opportunities, new programming, volunteer opportunities, all of that. And like I said, it really does kind of feel like a support group. Some days while we're there, and some days we're a lot more talkative than others, but I always leave feeling a little bit better than I did walking in when the work seems really heavy and it seems like we can't keep up. It's generally within that meeting that I get some excitement to keep moving forward and keep pushing us forward. I did bring some information in the back that explains the coalition, kind of what it means to be a member, what the benefits of being a member are, and then it also lists our 3 priorities right now. So number 1 is to expand and engage coalition membership. So we are working to bring in new organizations, new individuals who don't have to represent an organization. If you are just a neighbor who cares about your neighbors having enough to eat and access to healthy food, we definitely have people on the coalition that serve to that. I mentioned that we're working on the delivery option model, and then we also host hunger simulations. Has anybody ever done the poverty simulation with United Way of Cass Clay? Kind of walks you through a day of somebody living in poverty. Well, we have a similar thing, only it's based on food security. So each member gets their own profile. It tells them if they have kids, if they have health issues that require certain dietary needs. And so we would set this room up like a community. There would be a grocery store, there would be a corner convenience store, there would be a WIC office and a SNAP. And so it asks participants to navigate that system and what it looks like. And we throw in bus stops and transportation, and you might have money in your wallet, but you have no way to get to the store to purchase any food. You might have a car, but it broke down, and now you have to find neighbors to ride with or find a way to purchase a bus pass to get to where you need to go. We recently had the opportunity to do the hunger simulation of 180 students from Concordia during one of their student retreats. Lots of emotion in the room, whether kids had lived it, whether they knew somebody who had lived it. I was so surprised by their just ability to take it all in, and nobody gave up and said, I'm not going to do this. Everybody really took it to heart, and the feedback we got from their faculty was that that was the only thing the kids wanted to talk about at the end of the retreat, was their experience in the hunger simulation. So we have that available as a coalition. We provide the volunteers, we set everything up, we bring in all of the materials, And it's just a great way to initiate some conversation on what food insecurity looks like in real life. We can tell people to go to pantries, we can tell them to go apply for SNAP. This takes it a little bit farther than that. Like you actually have to apply for SNAP and then wait to hear if you're eligible. Well, you spent your time doing that, now you miss the bus to get over to the WIC clinic or whatever that looks like. So it's really a hands-on immersive experience. So we're open to bringing that to any organizations, businesses that would like to kind of discuss that with their group, and then we also do a debrief at the end that just lets people kind of unpack everything that happened in that time. So those are our three main strategies that we're working on at the past play level right now. And then on top of that, in my role at Great Plains Civic, I focus heavily on advocacy. So working with the SNAP department at the state level, working with the human service zones. Today I have the privilege of meeting with the CAS Human Service Zone near NDSU Extension. We really got to have a great conversation on SNAP and some of the barriers that stand in people's way from either applying, completing their application, or being successfully accepted to have those benefits. So doing a lot of work. I don't know if Erin is still out there. I'm also on the steering committee for Together for School Meals, which is the group that is pushing for school meals in North Dakota this year. She had a petition out there earlier. If you didn't get to sign it and you're interested, Facebook, if you follow Together for School Meals, you have one too, then it just allows us to kind of meet people where you're at. If you want more information, I will do my best to answer any questions. But we are very close to hitting our signature number to turn into the state. So very exciting stuff happening, lots of great support from lots of unexpected sources sometimes. And so it's great to see community gathering around that. I think if I wanted you to take one thing away from anything that I shared, it's that hunger doesn't exist in a vacuum. If there's somebody dealing with food insecurity, there's a very high likelihood that they are also dealing with housing issues, mental health, maybe it's substance abuse. People don't generally just be affected by food insecurity. I think Chelsea and I know better than anybody, and Dana as well, working in the schools. People don't come to a food pantry on a good day. It's generally a really tough day and it can be really hard to walk into those environments sometimes. So creating as positive of an experience as we can to make sure that people feel comfortable doing that and really working on building relationships with each other as well as those that we serve. I think that's all I have. I got a lot of things scribbled on this paper over here. But yeah, like I said, 1 million pounds of food every month goes in and out of your Plains food bank.
How do you deal with giving people food if they don't know they're gluten-free or they've got food allergies? How do you work with that?
That's a great question. So I would say back when I started working in human services, that was pretty non-existent. Like, here's what we have to offer. You can take it or we don't really have anything for you. I don't know how Chelsea's pantry is exactly set up, but we do encourage our partners to have different sections or areas that people would know these foods are for me. So out in Holly at Reach, there would be a gluten-free area. There would be, if you're diabetic, these are some choices that would be better for you to make. Before the pandemic happened, we had worked really hard to move people to in-person and client choice, meaning that they get to come in and pick the items that best meet their needs and their family's needs. When the pandemic happened, all that went out the door. All we could do was pack food in boxes and hand it to people outside. We didn't have the opportunity to bring them in. From the Great Plains perspective, we worked really hard over the last 2 years to move people back to that model, because it doesn't do us any good to give you a box of dried beans and rice and things that you don't have the ability to cook, or things that you're not supposed to be eating because of dietary needs. And I would say think somebody mentioned we're about back up to 85% of our partners offering people the option to shop for themselves. Again, we have a lot of volunteer-led stuff, so it may come down to that. But I would say just having our new health and wellness programs has really pushed that needle of we need to not just provide food, but food that meets the needs of those that need it. Hope I answered your question.
So with the new warehouse, then, do you put the new out of it?
We will. Yeah, the building that we're in actually went on the market this week, and so we are working to find a buyer, and then we would lease that back until our new facility is ready to go. But yep, the office, administration, warehouse, everything will move to the new facility. Yeah, we're pretty excited. Yeah, it's been a lot of planning. Yes.
What kind of funding sources do you have, and how are they holding up?
That's a great question. So, of course, when we saw this big, beautiful bill come into play, we saw a lot of changes in funding that were available to us. Specifically for TFAP products and things like that, that stands for I'm going to blank on it right now.
The emergency food.
Assistance program. Yep. So
Together.
Yep. So that would be food that food banks receive from the USDA. It's kind of a government allotment that is given to us. Those went down significantly. I think that we also saw a cut in dollars that are kind of nurturing that producers within the state. So being able to buy food directly from North Dakota producers, some of that money also went away. While the government shutdown was a terrible thing, we were so overwhelmed by the businesses and the organizations that came out in full force and helped us meet those needs. From the governor giving us almost $1 million overnight to do what we needed to do to feed people whose SNAP benefits had been completely cut off and they weren't able to go out and meet the needs of their family as far as groceries and nutrition goes. The state is such a strong partner of ours and they're so supportive of the work that we do, so we're lucky for that. Feeding America is the large umbrella of food banks that goes all across the United States. They've got some incredible supporters that allow us to seek funding from them, whether that's for purchasing food, working on policy related to food access and nutrition, so trying to make changes in SNAP that remove barriers so that more people are eligible, those types of things. Our work wouldn't be possible without all of the amazing individuals, families, and organizations in Fargo, Moorhead, and across the state, of course, but we're lucky to have a solid relationship with all of those guys. While funding has gone down and the need has gone up, that is true, but we are pretty resilient in the work that we do. Particularly the last few years, it feels like we just recovered from something and the next shoe drops, and it's time to figure that out. But in our experience, when the need is there, when people know how to help or how to volunteer, we have yet to not figure it out. We just kind of continue to keep moving forward. Our partners are extremely resilient. They're always looking for new ways to meet the needs of folks. Yeah, it's difficult. We were in this era of the pandemic where we all saw this huge surge in funding and like, sky's the limit. Whatever you need, let's get this, let's make this happen. And just as quick as it came, it went away. And so readjusting down to previous levels, if not less than we used to get, while we continue to see the need go up has definitely been an issue, but we are equipped with some amazing individuals that are out there every day making sure that we have the funding that we need to continue our programming. Okay, my time's up. I'm getting moved away from the mic.
All right, thanks for for having me tonight. My name is Dana Reef. I'm a registered dietitian and food service director for West Fargo Public Schools, where we have over 13,000 students, and about 10,000 of them eat lunch on any given day. So oftentimes I say a school lunch program is like the largest restaurant in town, for really any community, because our reach is quite large. We are feeding lots of kiddos. We have 22 school buildings that we operate a school breakfast and lunch program out of, where I have kitchens in each of those schools, as well as a central kitchen for the district that supports each of those schools. And we do all of our scratch cooking at our central kitchen, and then our scratch baking, where we make lots of muffins, quick breads, and then we do most of our fruit and vegetable processing out of our central kitchen as well. That has really helped us to scale up and be able to do things more efficiently. It's helped us to be able to expand the number of homemade items or scratch-made items on our menu, and then also to be able to bring in a lot of fruits and vegetables from area growers, where we can do the processing more efficiently with large-scale equipment in our central kitchen, and get that food back out to each of our 22 schools. I have over 120 staff members in network and school kitchens across the district, so it takes a lot of people to get all of our students fed on any given day. We follow the National School Lunch Program, which means we have very strict standards for the nutritious meals that we serve, including whole grains, lots of fruits and vegetables. We have sugar limits and sodium limits on our menu, so it really is healthy food that we're modeling and trying to get kids getting those healthy eating habits that last them for life. In our district, we have 34% of our students qualifying for free and reduced lunch. So we know that there are needy kids coming from needy families, and we are hoping they eat our school breakfast and our school lunch so that we can provide that necessary nutrition for them on any given day. There's a lot that we do to expand the access to nutritious meals in our schools. Obviously, families can qualify for free and reduced by applying with a free and reduced application that's based on income. But we also have the ability to automatically certify them for free meals if they SNAP, Medicaid, are foster students, or homeless. So that is a way that they can qualify without having to do the extra paperwork. We are able to get those from the state and can just extend that to them right away. North Dakota also had implemented some extended eligibility guidelines a couple of years ago. So instead of just the federal level of poverty, North Dakota has another chunk of families that can qualify based on their income. So they still have to apply with a free and reduced application, but that household income can be a little higher and still be able to get free meals. So we've seen more families qualify because of that as well. And then there is a program called Community Eligibility Provision, or CEP. That is a program through the National School Lunch Program that districts can have their school buildings under that CEP program if they qualify. In West Fargo, we have just 3 buildings that qualify. There are 3 elementary schools, Berger, Eastwood, and Little Park. And in those schools, because of being on that program, all students in the building can eat at no cost for breakfast and lunch. So that is a nice way for us to be able to offer that amongst the school buildings that would qualify. There's a lot we do to reach our learners beyond the school day as well. So obviously we're serving breakfast, we're serving lunch. We have some after school meal after-school snack programs in a couple elementary schools that operate a qualifying program after school where we can serve them as a snack. We do summer meal programs in our buildings that offer summer school. So that's a way for us to keep feeding kids in the month of June. And then several of our schools have on-site food pantries that our social workers and counselors at our school buildings are operating along with our partners like the food bank, where students can get that source of food just right at school to be able to bring home, or parents can come and pick it up. So those have really expanded over the years as well. I often get asked about food waste in schools because I think it's something that's, near and dear to everybody. It's something that we're all concerned about. And there's a lot that we do in our district to try to decrease the chance of food waste. So we offer multiple choices to our students in the hopes that there's something that they are going to choose and like to eat. So in our elementary schools, they have 2 options every day for their main entrees. Our middle schools have even more, and our high schools have quite a few options. So that helps as well. We also operate under the National School Lunch Program a provision called Offer versus Serve. So instead of us just giving every student everything that we have to plan, because we have to plan a compliant meal, they can then select up to at least 3 items that they could take all 5 components if they wanted. So one of them has to be a fruit or a vegetable to qualify, to be able to count that as a meal. But again, that's a way that at least students aren't forced to take something if they don't like it. We're hoping they try it and will be exposed to it and maybe take a small scoop of something. But that is one way that we help to decrease some waste. And then in our, oh yes, question.
I'm glad that you brought up the business part because, just watching some of the legislators and inspectors, right, there were the opponents to the 1624 different school lunch and some of the different proposals on legislation, right? Those are some of the arguments we made by the opponent. Just anecdotally, right? Not like an official stance for West Fargo Public Schools, but in your experience, is there meaningful food waste happening?
So you can look at it kind of 2 ways. So one would be food waste on a student's tray, that they took more than they're to use. And then the other would be overproduced food, food made too much. I know some of what was brought up in that special session was, I think, some uninformed people talking that schools were going to get reimbursed for just everything that they cooked and made, and that's just not true. Our meals are only considered a reimbursable meal at the point of service to a student. So if I made in an elementary 500 slices of pizza because I had 500 kids and only 400 come to school or come through the lunch line, I can't get reimbursement for the 500 that I made. So I think some of that was people assuming schools would just buy a bunch of food, cook a bunch of food, and the kids wouldn't be there, that their kids might leave. And so that was just not accurate, I guess, I would say. A lot of what we try to tackle food waste on both sides, whether that's on the student's tray or us overproducing food. And so we have, the strategies that we use so that it's hopefully not being wasted on the student's tray is that offer versus serve, where they only have to take the minimum, at least 3 items, one of which has to be a fruit or vegetable. If they were maybe having to take, say, an apple at the end of the line because they need the fruit or vegetable on their tray and they don't want to eat it or they're not going to eat it, We have share carts in all of our cafeterias where students can share any unopened food item, and then their fellow students can come and grab that if they would like to. So that has helped us a lot. We try to have something, either a whole fruit that can be shared, or packaged like raisins or something that could still be shared. Obviously, we can't share things like a scoop of apple sauce on a tray. But in a package thing that we can. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course. And then in our older grades, in our middle and high schools, we've even taken that to the step of self-service. So we do self-service for everything in middle and high schools. And that has helped with the food waste as well. As far as our overproduced food, we run a cycle menu so that we always have history of when two items are up against each other, say a hamburger or a turkey sandwich. We'll know based on history that maybe 75% of the kids are going to take the hamburger and 25% will take the turkey sandwich. So that helps us with getting our kind of numbers correct. And then in our elementary schools, we do take meal counts in the morning as well. So those kids are letting their teacher know which choice that they're going to be we are able to reuse food in our school lunch programs as much as possible. So if we cut up too much watermelon, we can save it the next day. If we had, say, taco meat, we could safely freeze that and reuse it another time and reheat it. So that helps with a lot of our potential food waste. And then we also have a food repack program that we do in our larger schools that if we had just 10 slices of pizza left or something that wouldn't be able to be reused or frozen, then we are packaging those into meal containers, and then we freeze them, and then we're able to donate that to the school's food pantry in that building. So that's another way for us to use some of our overproduced food and still benefit our students.
I have funding for that.
Yes. And you've done those in several districts.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. It's certainly not just our district. So that's kind of a little bit in a nutshell, but happy to answer any questions. Yeah. No, it's not what we charge. And of course, I don't have that with me, so I don't have it memorized. Lunch is around $4.61, I think, a meal. And to compare that for our full pay students, like in high school, they pay $3. So if they don't qualify for free or reduced meals, the family pays $3. If they qualify for free meals, we're getting reimbursed at something around $4.60. No, breakfast is less. Yeah, $2.60, $2.70, something like that. Yeah.
So with the pyramid, how has that affected your lunches?
Yeah.
But this is for last year.
Sure. Yeah. So it hasn't at all yet, but we are being told that USDA will rewrite our school lunch guidelines soon. So we expect some changes. I guess one that I would expect would be more protein or more protein more often. Right now, there is no requirement to offer protein at breakfast, so I'm sure that's coming. We already offer a lot of protein choices at breakfast, but it's not required. It's just kind of optional right now. And then as far as like the sugar guidelines, which I know is part of that flipped pyramid as well, we do have those in our school lunch guidelines right now. Just starting this year, we have certain product-based limits of sugar, and that's in flavored milk, breakfast cereals, and yogurts. And so we have to purchase items that have that lower sugar because of that requirement. And then in the fall of 27, our sugar limits will have to be at least 10% or less of added sugars and calories in the course of the week. So we know that one is coming, but I expect even more than yesterday.
But that's not going to affect vegetables and fruits that have nuts.
Correct, yeah, that's added sugars, yeah. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
I'm always humbled by folks that do the job. I can barely get like a consensus on meal for my family. Because my house and kids every single day. So
Ritika, yes. Oh, right. So we learned from these people. We're going to learn something related but not related. Surprise. Ritika Curtis is our tech person. One of our best volunteers for Civic West. There you go.
So my name is Ritika Gertis, and I am on the steering committee, but I do most of the tech work here. So we are currently on YouTube Live. It's just my computer. We were talking about hunger and feeding West Fargo today. I just wanted to share a resource that I found while I was looking for not wasting food. I was looking for some apps to help with that because I'm a tech person, of course, so I couldn't go for an app. So I found something which I use, but I wanted to be used by other people who are struggling through managing their meals if they can. You would need a phone for the app. You probably would have to drive to the location to pick up the food, and you'll need the money to pay for the food. But it's much cheaper than you can find in multiple spots. So what I do with this is I order the food on the app. I pick up the package. It's a surprise package. You don't know what's in there because it's leftover food. Surprise. And I bring these packages to people who are on the side of the streets, and I give them, I used to do care packages, but now I do sometimes food packages. So I keep them in my car. There are 5 locations here. This app is called Too Good To Go. If this is more like a Tupperware system, so if you want, you can use me as your friend, and you'll get your first voucher or something, or whoever uses it, and I get $2 back to give back again. So it's a system like that. I went and ordered this just before here, and I ordered this morning, and I picked it up right before coming here, and I was just showing you that it's not completely worthless. It's from a gas station, because that's the only thing we have in this area that will provide this kind of service. But within $4.30, this is the food is about $12 or $13 more. Wow. For $4.30. If you want, I will show you my receipt, but that's how much food you can. $4.30. That includes tax. I had to drive there. I had to order on the app. Yes, the food was $3.99, but the tax included $4.30. That's why I wanted to share this. It's called Too Good To Go. If you want, I will give you the friend app, and you can suggest it to your people. I just wanted to share that. You can. You can That's what I do. I don't do it at home. I just do it for people who are in the streets. But that's just my care package. I just wanted to share the resources if nobody knew about it. So, it's only 5 Circle K locations. I was trying to get in touch with those people. I don't have connections like these people do, so they may be able to do it better. But I was hoping that the restaurants in here don't waste food after they're done and throw it away. They can sign up and give their food for cheaper at certain points. Of course, if you'd be surprised, they don't get choice to do what they're doing, but it has to be consumable. They have some rules for that, and then if we can get more businesses here, that would be great. In Fargo, Moorhead area, there is not very many. It's just Circle K, 5 locations for the gas station. But I have checked this out in Minneapolis area as well. Eden Prairie, whichever small city you go, there is alcohol, like things that are expiring early enough. You can do alcohol for cheaper. You can do bakery items because they have to throw those away. You can do grocery stores, Whole Foods, and other people participate as well. So if you can get people to participate here. Not that I'm promoting this app or do anything about it, it's more what I found and I thought that it would be useful. Just my opinion.
We worked in this world, and we did not know. I never listened to this.
The last time I picked it up, it was like you have 2 or 3 days to finish the food. It's not expired.
Close to that.
Yeah. I did not know anything was in there, but I was in my car. I just picked it up.
Typically when the gas stations are, when you do retail rescue from the gas station, the stuff has either expired the day we pick it up, or it's gonna expire within a day. So it's rarely do you get something that's unusable. So that's so interesting.
Tomorrow, turkey ranch cover.
Oh yeah, easy.
4:30, yeah. 3:20 off express tomorrow.
That's such a good, yeah, such a good example of meeting people where they're at. You place an order,
I
you
found
go
this for just because I was looking for something not to waste food.
I'm gonna pass this
Oh
information.
yeah. Yeah, so if you want more information for your leave, I'll share everything.
Awesome. That would be
I've
great.
used it a few times already.
Very cool. Thank you. Very nice. All the way around. And we learned what we didn't. We learned what we didn't want to know. But there is so much need for food. There's something about this life.
And then the most bizarre thing too is that there's a need for it, but there's a need for us, for people to come take it. There is
Oh, yeah.
when the retail rescue that we do, it's unbelievable the amount of stuff that would typically would go. So we need people to take it as badly as some of it need it. If that makes sense? Yeah, so those two entities fit somehow.
And so someplace I heard in California, somebody was picking up at the end of the food, they're picking up leftovers from the restaurants in some city.
There are big metro areas that have programs like that
Right.
operating, yes. I believe there's some in the Twin Cities.
That would be a good project for someone.
We actually have explored that a little bit. So the meal repack program that Dana talked about, that originally stemmed during the pandemic. Schools would cook for the amount of kids that were there. Well, then kids would either be quarantined or different things would happen. They just had this excessive amount of food that was left over. So we developed a program called Meal Repack. Like Dana explained, you can repackage the food. It gets frozen. It gets put in a low barrier area where kids can grab it on their way out of the door, take it home. None of the schools say you only get one for yourself, because if there's one hungry kid, there's more hungry people at home. We have explored working with caterers examples is when we talk about nutritional guidelines and nutritional value. When we're working with schools, we know that they're abiding by certain requirements and that the food that they're giving is good for the kids. When we talk about wedding caterers and restaurants, it takes more work to relay that nutritional value and ensure it than it does working without. But one thing we've been exploring is working with hospital on-site kitchens and being able to use that. We also just welcomed our first non-traditional school partner in Grand Forks through Valley Senior Living. They have Valley Senior Living and attached as a Head Start. And their kitchen has this excess food at the end of all their meal services. They now they repack, they freeze, and Head Start families clear that freezer out every single week. So that's another area that we're looking to expand on as well. So different. Yep.
We cannot give that.
One scoop of potatoes out of the container and the rest is a
I
waste.
think that's kind of a shame.
It is.
There's a lot of wasted food that we don't do, and we just can't find other people.
And I think kind of how we combat that a little bit. I just had a great conversation last week at United Way with somebody from Microsoft, and they provide food for their employees every single day. We realize that there are a few small tweaks we can do to how they serve their food that would make it donatable at the end of the day. So wrapped sandwiches or sandwiches in a box versus on a platter. Pre-portioned out fruits and vegetables and things like that. So I think that we lean more heavily into the conversation of what can we change to make it so that we can donate it. But that's it's such a sore point when we watch all that food go to waste. And, I'm sure it's hard for them too, wanting to donate it, but knowing that they're not going to have it because somebody else touched it. I would say one of the things that can prove difficult as far as the school meal repacks go is there are more schools than I ever thought that do like family style serving. So putting the bowls on the table, allowing children to dish up their own food. We get in-depth conversations and then realize pretty quickly that we have to back out unless they're willing to change the entire format of how they serve lunch to their students and stuff like that. So we try to work around barriers. We've been changes depending on if you're in Minnesota or North. But believe it or not, Minnesota I'm having a harder time when it comes to federal regulations than I am with North Dakota. Which did not seem to be the usual for me, but the schools that have kind of challenged it have found workarounds to be able to continue that program.
Now that we need to get two announcements, I was going to say, please go off that little survey there. We'd love to get your feedback and your ideas. And also, our next FireHall chat is here, April 23rd, and it was nonpartisan candidates in West Fargo for mayor, city commission, so we invite you back for that. Same time. It's 7 o'clock on April 23rd. And speaking of